Welcome back to another episode of Star Goblin Radio. We have some Phantasy Star TTRPG news. This news comes from Skydawn Games' Twitch stream. It was live April 25th, 2025, and it is available to stream on Skydawn Games' new YouTube channel. I've linked that video in the description. The primary focus of the stream was to discuss the impact of tariffs on the upcoming core book and the impact on any potential accessories or supplements. As of 425, books are currently exempt from the tariffs, and so there's no current plans on changing the price of the core book or any plans to delay its release. There was some desire to create Phantasy Star dice and a Phantasy Star DM screen and other accessories. Plans for those additional accessories and any other potential ones are currently paused due to the price increases related to tariffs. Changes to the current status really depend on the future of tariffs as well as the global economy and the impact that they have on international production and shipping. It was confirmed that Phantasy Star Universe is covered under a different license than the other Phantasy Star games. For this reason, Phantasy Star Universe won't be covered in the core book outside of potential small references. There will be some Phantasy Star Zero content, though that information won't be as prominent as Phantasy Star Classic and Phantasy Star Online, which are the primary focus of the core book. Rich would like to do a supplemental book for Phantasy Star Universe in the future, and that all depends on how well this core book sells and how well the RPG does. Pre-sales are doing well, which is great news and promising for the future. If you're a Phantasy Star fan and you like the idea of even more content being released for an RPG like this, best thing you can do is pre-order, and so I've also linked that in the description. As development wraps up on the game, there will be public and private playtesting. First public playtests will be in Georgia at MomoCon, where you can play the starting adventure, The Search for Levino, with Rich Lescaflair, the owner and lead designer of the game, as the DM. And the final playtest is planned for Gen Con in Indianapolis. We have some updated news on the game's actual mechanics. Previously revealed, we know characters have professions and origins, the origin being the character's species, the planet they're from, and the culture they were raised in. It's been confirmed that Origins won't provide attribute bonuses. This design was specifically chosen to prevent you from being compelled to play certain professions and origins together. It means any origin and profession can be combined and still be a viable option without penalizing the player by having certain combinations be suboptimal. The Esper profession has been confirmed to be an intelligence-based profession, meaning they'll cast their magic and spells using the intelligence score. This is very similar to the wizard class from Dungeons & Dragons. In Phantasy Star lore, Espers cast magic, and they're able to do so due to a genetic ability that allows them to access magic. In Dungeons & Dragons, sorcerers cast a very similar type of magic due to magical lineage or magical blood, and they use their charisma score to cast their spells. However, in Phantasy Star, most of the Espers we meet are not very charismatic people, and they also are lore masters and responsible for creating techniques. Techniques being a way for people without magic genetics to still cast magical abilities, and so the idea of them being intelligence-based casters has some basis in Phantasy Star lore. Magic and techniques will primarily use the same mechanics and rules. While they're described differently in lore, the two ultimately create the same effect. While designing, it was determined that trying to create two separate groups of rules for magic and techniques to accomplish the same thing was overcluttered and not particularly fun. Whether you're casting magical spells or performing techniques will depend on how you describe it, which depends on the profession that you're playing. To give Espers access to even greater magical abilities, the Esper profession will have special abilities that allow them to create magical effects or enhance their magic spells. Muscats are a very rare species and have some interesting strengths and limitations. Due to this rarity and the limitations, they are an optional species. This means that your DM has to approve them as a character option, since they might not be a great fit for every campaign. Muscats are small mystical beasts. Due to their small size, they can share a space that's occupied by an ally and move through enemy spaces. Expect that this mechanic will work very similar to the Halfling Nimbleness from 5th edition D&D. They have natural claw attacks. I expect that these attacks will do either a d4 or a d6 of damage, based on similar species from other games. Muscats lack an opposable thumb. meaning outside of fang weapons and their natural claws, they can't use most weapons in the game. This also prevents them from using some devices and technology. Their mystical connection allows them to cast Terror. Terror is a spell from the original Phantasy Star that Meow could cast. This would cause an enemy to recoil in fear and not be able to attack for a turn, and I expect this to be very similar to D&D's Fear spell. They'll make good casters, support characters, and due to their natural weapons and mobility, they'll make viable fighters. And finally, we got some information on the agility mechanic, which is one of the scores that was spoiled on Elise's character sheet. Agility is a score from the video games which represents a character's response time and who acts first in combat, and so in the TTRPG, agility will be replacing the initiative score from Dungeons & Dragons. At the start of combat, characters and enemies all roll their agility to determine who acts first and who acts last, and agility is also used when determining a character's burst saves, and so is also a factor of how well a character can get out of harm's way when trying to avoid damage from a burst weapon's attack. And those are the latest Phantasy Star TTRPG updates. If you're enjoying this content, consider liking and subscribing. If you're interested in this TTRPG but are unfamiliar with D&D or the rules and have any questions, let me know in the comments as well. And that's it. That's the show. And so until next time, don't do anything I wouldn't do.